And on behalf of the team of My Career Closet, I'd like to welcome our panelists and all our attendees to this discussion today. I'd like to very quickly introduce our panelists for today. We have Susan Campbell, who's the director of Corley Career Center at Georgetown University. She's our guest speaker for this session. And we have Sabrina Snow, who is the VP of Partnerships and Sustainability at My Career Closet, who will be moderating the session today. Today, we are going to talk about raising sponsorship funds for career closets. Please post your questions in the chat section. And at the end of the discussion, our moderator will read them out.
Hi, thank you. Again, my name is Susan Campbell. I'm the director of the Undergraduate Career Center at Georgetown University. I've been the director for about the last 8 years, been at Georgetown for about 10.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sabrina. I'm excited that you all are joining us for this discussion today. Susan and I get to work very closely together. I manage partnerships and sustainable initiatives with Hyde, or My Career Closet. And
we find that there are two main routes for raising sponsorships: A, employers, and B, alumni. Today, we will discuss with Susan her strategy that has been so successful at Georgetown University.
Could you share a little bit about Colley's journey with building a career closet, and at what point you realized that you needed funding to help out with that initiative?
Let me start by just saying, prior to our current service with My Career Closet, we had a traditional university career closet. It was not, to be honest, fully operational because we struggled to maintain inventory via donations. We never had the right sizes or styles to really accommodate students. I would say I immediately knew that we wanted a closet that was high quality and could equitably serve all students, and that this was the only way to go, in my strong opinion. And from day one, I also knew sponsorship or partnerships would be essential. Institutional funds typically aren't used for that kind of purpose, so I didn't want to consider them an option, or certainly not an option that we could count on to launch and sustain a program such as this. For us, the Career Closet kind of falls in a category that I refer to as strategic initiatives. So unlike one-on-one appointments, career fairs, networking events, kind of the core services of a career center, this is outside that, similar to like a career track or a stipend program for unpaid internships. We conducted a 2.5-month trial this past spring. Initially, in order to control costs, I said, you know what, we're just going to limit this to sophomores, because honestly, I had no idea what the interest. Well, I knew interest would be high, but you have to get the word out there and for it to spread and to get the use going. And I didn't know really how to estimate that. But then I decided, you know what, forget it. We're just going to go for all undergrads. Let's not limit it to sophomores if we really want to learn from this experience. Fortunately, for this trial, I was able to secure some funding internally from 2 of our campus partners, which, when combined with a very small pool of career center gifts, made it respectable and made it worth the risk of just moving forward and opening it to all.
And how's the sponsorship program going now?
I am very, very encouraged and optimistic. The way we've approached sponsorship is by focusing on 3 distinct constituents. There are 2 in particular, no, there are 3 in particular that we've been working closely with and did for the trial. The first being the school deans. At Georgetown, we have 5 undergraduate schools. The dean of the business school has been particularly engaged with us. Then we have an office that's called the Office of Student Equity and Inclusion. And its mission very much aligns with the Career Closet. It's to provide student development and sponsor program and events that engage in collaboration related to equity, diversity, and inclusion. And then we have a program at Georgetown called the Georgetown Scholars Program. And that is about 600 students, 150 per class. Most, or if not all of them, are low-income students or first-gen students. So for employers, we looked at our employer sponsorship program. So we revamped our sponsorship program, making this a centerpiece, and came up with 3 levels. We call them platinum, gold, and silver, with obviously different costs associated and the level of service that they were able to provide to the students.
I'm just curious how you went about understanding that you needed to approach those different schools or areas within the university? Was it something that you had done before because you'd been with the school for a while, or was it something that you learned, during one of your meetings with other schools?
A key part of your job is connecting with others, both on and off campus, and building relationships. And the reason I wanted to focus on pursuing, and I'll talk first about alumni and corporate sponsorship, is both have a vested interest in this. Alums are always wanting to give back at Georgetown, and I'm sure other schools. They're very engaged here. And employers are wanting to engage with and hire career ready students. And professional attire is an important aspect of career readiness. The second would be money. I don't know which one's going to gain traction or how quickly. So let's go both routes and find out.
Within these strategies, what was most effective kind of talking to, these outside sponsors or just with those, within the university?
So one, clear and concise message. Second, focus on equity. It's not all students know what the appropriate thing is to wear. And I have evidence of that, especially post-pandemic, and the way students showed up for career fairs last year. I was like, whoa, what were they thinking? So to educate all of them on professional attire and what's appropriate, what's business casual, because they may be invited to a business casual event versus an interview, and that dress could be different. And also, what you wear to a Google interview is different than what you wear to a Goldman interview. Emphasize the benefits. I mean, every dollar is going directly to support a student. This is going to support an outfit, a professional attire outfit or two for a student for a month. We had the 2.5-month trial. It didn't take long to get results, and communicating those results is pretty impactful. And again, easy to understand. I would expect similar experience at other universities.
Next, I'd really like to ask you, so how did My Career Closet or Hide help Georgetown and support the university as you went about raising sponsorship? And what resources did you find most helpful?
First, I'll just say from day one, I've really considered them a partner as someone like who is on our team. They assisted with tracking of use, with metrics, with design of marketing materials, in brainstorming on marketing materials, in editing or optimizing our website landing page. My impression is anything we needed or wanted them to work with us on, they did. So just some examples. We developed some marketing collateral for our employer sponsorship program. Their designer helped us with that. I was doing a presentation to our Office of Advancement. They helped with some of my slide content and made the slide look better. I'm not great at PowerPoint. Their version was much better. One of my favorite things, and Sabrina, I know will remember this, is I decided during the trial that I wanted staff and the students who worked in our center to have access to clothing. And I said, we'll pick up the cost as the Career Center on one condition. You have to wear it when you're here, and you have to wear this button that says this outfit was from My Career Closet. It's a really cute button, and it helps with marketing. So my marketing person was very involved from day one.
These are actually great pointers and something that our partners could tap into, and members of our audience, just to guide them on how to get started with raising sponsorships. Another thing that I'd love for you to share more about is, what according to you, do you think sponsors look for when they're deciding to support a Career Closet initiative?
Impact, no question. They want to invest in a program or an initiative that's going to have direct impact to students. And again, whether that's an employer, a donor, a campus partner, they want something that's tangible and is measurable. I think it's also important that it aligns with their mission. Again, focus on equity. That resonated with every potential sponsor that we spoke with. It's a branding opportunity. They care about that. And branding, like I said, for the campus partners as well as the employers. So impact, alignment, branding opportunity, and then of course budget. That's going to influence their level of interest or their ability to sponsor at whatever level. But the beauty of this is you can contribute at any level, and it makes a difference. So it's not like, oh no, you have to be a $10,000 sponsor. No, you could be a $500 sponsor. You could be a $100 sponsor and make a difference.
Talk about how, once you've kind of secured these relationships with either these employer sponsors, or you talked about nurturing relationships on campus with these different organizations or partners, how do you continue to nurture those beyond just this initial phase or even during the launch? What did you find to be helpful in nurturing those relationships?
Well, I would say, just like any relationship, the communication is key and having lots of communication. Ongoing communication for our employer sponsors will include semester updates, highlighting use, having testimonials. The students who use the service are really excited to talk about it. One of our peer career advisors like, I want to make a video and then we could put it on social media. We could put it on the website. I'm like, okay, videos. Maybe an open house. One idea I just had this morning, and I went to my associate director of employer relations. I'm like, all right, our career fair's in a few weeks. What if, and I know you're doing the billing right now, you're, securing employers. Can you add an option on the registration fee for $300? You will support 6 students for the career fair in the month of September for their professional events. So we're trying to think through that. That might be a way to get a lower level sponsor than our employer sponsors that might be at $6,000. I think, as always, one-on-one meetings are important. And if it needs to be by Zoom, fine. But when it can be in person, make them in person. Make sure that when they're on campus that we carve out and they carve out 15 minutes of time just to touch base, share with them some of the work that we're doing and then the new initiatives, and particularly those who have been sponsors, share some of those results. And then in the off season, and I did this in May while we were winding up the trial, go to them. So we made a trip to New York. Some of our sponsors or potential sponsors are in New York, and meet with them at their site. Recognition, give them shout outs. We can do that on social media. For the campus sponsors, they're already named on our marketing collateral. For employers, this was really fun to work with My Career Closet on, is what could we do for the actual deliveries to students that would highlight sponsors. So there are a few options. I'm not sure which we'll go with or both, but one was a card insert. So any student who got a clothing rental, on the inside, it had a message, and then it had, for instance, City's logo or whatever, the sponsors, or the ribbon around the clothing. And again, naming the sponsors by using their logo and having so branded inserts for them. We're also committed to putting plaques in our center. Yeah, making sure that they know that they are making a difference and that we appreciate it. The student testimonials go a long way to doing that. So anything I would send, I would probably include student testimonials.
What are some challenges that you faced or noticed kind of when you were going to employers or just different, groups on campus?
Probably the biggest challenge was the fact that sponsorship programs had gone away, and sponsorship programs were all about, oh, you'll get first dibs on what date you want to have your info session or what date you want to do interviews. Will you let me tell you about this initiative and how important it is and how your participation will directly impact the career readiness of students. The challenge of just identifying the people, which really isn't a huge challenge. I mean, you start with, who are our top 25 employers? Who are the campus partners that make sense? I mentioned the 2 at Georgetown, or the 3 that we've been working with. There are probably others, but every school has offices like that. So start with them. Where do you already have relationships? Employers, it's easy. You know who's engaging. And then the alumni, that's been the most difficult for the reason I mentioned earlier. I think, though, it's going to be the most critical and the most engaged once we get going. There's no question in my mind that there are hundreds of alums that would give to this. I was able to present to our Office of Advancement. It was a 3-slide PowerPoint on just this, and I presented to all 60 development officers. And the comments that I got back is, this is great. Of course, there'll be, parents would want to give to this, young alumni. So it's a matter of reaching them and getting the word out. I don't think the challenge is interest. I think people will understand the benefit. And again, you can contribute at any level. So if you're a young alum that just graduated a few years ago, a couple $100 is great. And you are making a difference. The biggest constraint would probably be budgets, because budgets at Georgetown are always being cut. So how do we, if we focus on that? I found myself at a meeting a few days ago with our College of Arts and Sciences deans, and I was giving them updates on a few initiatives, and this was one of them. And I was telling them, the challenge of fundraising. But in the presentation, I shared the usage from the trial. One of the deans, unprompted, said, well, look how many of our students are using this. We should be helping you. And I'm like, yeah, you should be helping me. Getting the word out there, the awareness, I think the giving will come. Alumni, the best way to go about it is for me to just continue to do a lot of outreach to others and asking, for instance, the deans. And this was part of the conversation too the other day. It's like, what about your network of alums, your board of advisors, being able to share it with them and their friends?
Just from seeing the data on the back end and being the one to review this with you, Susan, it was really interesting to see all of the students from health and science, the program, health and science programs and other programs that we did not anticipate utilizing the offering. We were like, oh, it'll probably be business students
Yeah.
but pleasantly surprised by that. So like you mentioned, just showing them the data again and how it's bringing value to their students specifically is a great way to get their buy-in.
Yeah. And along those lines, I'll just say we cut the data a few different ways, as you know, Sabrina. So we looked at it by participation by school, by gender. The one that surprised me the most was by class year. Now, you would expect the seniors to be the heaviest users, and they were. It was the spring of their senior year. The first years were almost right up there with the sophomores and the juniors. So, and in some ways, they probably have a greater need, at least early on, because they haven't thought about this, nor do they know what they should be wearing. So it's another way for you to be able to engage with students, especially those students who maybe aren't walking through the door. We have the deliveries come to the Career Center. They have to come pick it up. They return it on their own, but those are students who are now walking through our door that maybe wouldn't have walked through our door last year or any other time.
Susan, if you could speak to a little more about how do you handle sponsorship renewals and what strategies ensure long-term sponsor commitment?
We approached it with 3 different levels. We actually came up with a brochure. Typically, we just have a letter and information on our website. We talk about the different levels, how many students are supporting, what the other benefits are. And then as far as ensuring renewal, I think it comes back to one of the questions earlier about maintaining that relationship and communicating the results. One of the reasons why I want to do some type of event the day of our career fairs, I want those 100 employers that are there, the majority of whom aren't sponsors, to know about it. Sharing results will be the most impactful, I believe, because we're going to have the use that's going to show that their dollars were very well spent.
Which ones did you find to be most effective when communicating the impact, the need, and the potential benefits of these sponsorship tiers to your corporate sponsors?
I always like to have something on paper, to have some kind of flyer or brochure, but I think it's most impactful when that piece of paper, that brochure, is being shared in person and there's a discussion. So when it came to campus partners, I mentioned that one of the campus partners was this Georgetown Scholars Program. 75% of the users were students in that program. So, right there, she was pretty excited to continue to engage it, or certainly saw the value in it. But I'll just steal something from Nike. Just do it. Try it. You have me to learn from and other schools. I am more than welcome to take time to talk to anyone who's on this call today about the way in which we did the things that I've shared. But there's no downside to trying it. If you're interested in having a career closet available to your students, you're not going to find a better solution, in my opinion. And I'm not saying that the other solutions aren't good intentioned and great ideas. It's just a real heavy lift to try to have a retail operations in your center that those traditional career closets, you're getting donations and you're trying to dry clean. You have styles that, were from 20 years ago. Someone was just trying to clean out their closet. So I think this is the way to, if you're committed to at least exploring a career closet, this is the way to go. And I've offered my support. I told you earlier that the My Career Closet staff is very helpful and will work alongside you with the marketing.
I think my closing remarks would just be that, this is a short period of time to really make an impact on a student's life. And these are really memorable moments. These are moments when they're becoming young adults. And, for them, the university is home, right? So we're talking about driving alumni engagement and other initiatives as students leave the university. And this is one great way to ensure that they'll continue to be engaged as well for years and years to come, right?